10 minutes after 9 o'clock. The temperature is falling dramatically, and the conversation is, as they say, heating up. It's rapping with the reps, but for a while it's rep.
Rep, yes.
Roman KOZAK is here. I believe Josh KAIL is going to be here, but he's previous engagement. So right now, this is on live Facebook. It's being fed. Me putting Josh's name up on the screen in front of an empty chair feels really not cool, Roman. How would you feel if I did that to you? Would it feel like a shot?
I'm not sure. Maybe we should put busy signal or something in front of him. Yeah, I'm not sure. He's busy right now.
One of those technical difficulty signs from the old TVs?
Yes.
All right. Well, you're here, so let's get started with you. If you've got a question for Roman, 14th District Rep, 724-843-1888. You can also post your question in the comments section on the Facebook feed. Well, what have you learned so far? This is like coming home for Christmas after your first semester. What have you learned as a new legislator in Harrisburg?
Well, thank you again for having me.
Sure.
Two things real quick, though, about the news segments right before this. First off, I just want to say, if Cranberry Township is looking for firefighters, I would say Beaver County people, if you want to be a firefighter, go to your local department. Everyone is in need of volunteers right now, so just want to make sure we got Beaver County first here.
Yeah, I want the volunteers closest to the fire.
Yeah. And I want them serving their local communities, and I think people would want to do that. So they all need that help and are looking for it. Other thing, Kennywood, Thomastown, now we're ending up with this salute to our industrial past. I love it. Great thing. But that being said, those are the two things I wanted to comment on with the news. But what I've learned...
I love when you come in, you'll comment on stuff that's got nothing to do with rep stuff. And that's great. That's wonderful.
Just good. Well, the fire department stuff, we want to make sure we get that. But so what I've learned so far is that Harrisburg is a sausage-making process. We are in the budget season here now. We had the governor's budget address. I
feel like I should be screaming at you on behalf of the vegans.
On behalf of the vegans.
It's a sausage.
Yeah. No, sausage making, right? You have to see the process.
All right.
It's not pretty, especially when you've got a governor who has come in and sort of with a pie-in-the-sky type budget. Another $4 billion increase. We already have a $3.6 billion structural deficit for this year. He wants to spend more money, a lot more money, and it's pie in the sky. It's unnecessary. It's not real, and it's not going to end up being that. But
is that a negotiating tactic? If I want X amount and I'm trying to get X amount from you, me coming in and asking for X plus 20% X, is that all it is, or is he going to be more stubborn about it than that?
It's a good question. I think it's both. I think it's a negotiating tactic in some way. But the reality is this. The Pennsylvania legislature, it's a Republican majority in the Senate, and the Democrats have an elected majority of 102 to 101. So it's a one-seat difference. So he has to be realistic, he has to work with with both sides. And there's going to be Democrats that are not going to agree with everything that he has too. So it's the reason I say it's just not serious is because if it was the reality of what's going on right now, the makeup of the legislature, if it was serious, it would be not. He wouldn't be asking for another $4 billion and dipping into our rainy day fund.
How much is our rainy day fund?
I think right now we have about $7.6 billion. The last time I looked, it says it's roughly 56 days of operation, in an emergency situation.
Okay, so 2 months squirreled back.
Yeah.
What would justify dipping into that? What would not justify dipping into that? You just said the budget.
I mean, it's meant to be a rainy day, a stormy day, a day when we are in a serious need. It's just like, hopefully, if you have an emergency fund set aside for yourself or your family.
A new washer and dryer fund.
Yeah, right, exactly. The water heater goes down or something even more serious, that you have that just in case. It's not meant to be used as a slush fund or to dip into for programs or future expanding of programs, because then you have to think about revenue in the years ahead. Where is that going to come from?
Who decides how that rainy day fund gets allocated? Who's in charge of it?
Yeah.
before the lawsuits? Who's got the checkbook?
Well, so you have the legislatures in charge of the purse strings.
Okay.
It's similar to Congress itself. So money is appropriated through the budget process over these next months, and then when the budget is signed, there's different line items, certain numbers that go to each particular line item within that budget, and that's the framework you use to spend. And so the rainy day fund, in order to access that, you're going to have approval from the legislature. Okay. I have to be honest, when it comes to like a state of emergency, I'm not exactly positive if the governor has any access to that, if we had like a state of emergency arise. But I still believe at the end of the day, there's going to be legislature oversight with that money in a situation like that. But, at the end of the day, it's not realistic. It's not serious. And Pennsylvania has a lot of serious things we need to get working on. And asking for another $4 billion is not how we get there.
What is the number one most pressing issue for Beaver County and for the 14th District, your district?
There are various things that I'm learning about. So at the end of the day, economic growth drives everything. True. Energy prices, economic growth, that day-to-day living costs. How can that be affected here in Pennsylvania? Energy prices are number one. People that I've talked to over the past year, especially when I was knocking doors during my campaign, was cost of living. When it came down to it, energy prices was at the very top.
That is my biggest bill every month,
yes,
by far, besides rent.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's absurd how much it can cost now. And I think it's a result not just of energy policies in Pennsylvania, but at the national level over the last 4 years. We've put ourselves in a really bad position. And when energy costs go up, everything goes up. That's a big driver of inflation because energy is what runs the economy. It's what manufacturing and transportation, all of that, when those costs go up, it's passed on to the consumer and you and me, and we're stuck with that.
Roman KOZAK is my guest, 14th District State Representative. Calls, you can ask him a question. I got plenty. 724-843-1888 to get in, ask a question. You said it's like making sausage.
Yes.
How much of that is the gross part of making sausage, and how much of that is the time-consuming and level of ingredients of making sausage?
Yes, the time-consuming nature is a big part of it. We've got the budget hearings are going to start here in these coming weeks. We'll be back in Harrisburg for that. And just going, really, if you have good leadership in your caucus, which we do in the Republican side, we're going line by line through each expenditure and each proposed expenditure, each proposed allocation and appropriation, and we want to make sure that they're reasonable. We want to make sure that the right people are getting funded and the right information is getting out there to the people beforehand, so that they can understand this process. It is overwhelming. I mean, when I got my first budget sheet and went through line item after line item with some of our team, it was amazing to see some of those details. And it raises a lot more questions.
When you go through, do you have a highlighter and you say, what in God's name is that?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely. I mean, you start checking things off because you're like, what is that? Absolutely. What does that mean? I'm trying to think of an example of it, but there were a couple of them that there's sometimes vague terminology, right? And you're trying to figure out how that can be used. And it's true, the executives and some of the departments in the governor's administration will have some leeway within their departments on the spending of that. But yeah, we have to make sure it's reined in.
Does the word synergy show up a lot? That's one of those words that nobody really knows what it is.
Synergistic development or something,
yes.
right? Yes.
It's like, okay, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
How long have you been in Harrisburg now? How many months?
Well, so we were up there for 2 different weeks of session thus far.
Okay.
Before that, there was swearing in. The first couple days we were there for the swearing in portion at the beginning of January, and then we came back 2 weeks later for the next 2 weeks, and that was dealing with kind of resettling, getting our committees back up and active, starting our committee meetings, getting our rules put into place for those committees. And then we had the budget week, which is kind of its own grand week. The Senate meets in the State House with us, and the governor comes in and gives his address. It's basically the State of the Union, but it's like the State of the State type of address.
When did you start actually doing work? Because it doesn't sound like pomp and circumstance. It sounds like the day you got moved into your dorm. You did the one thing, but you weren't going to really get much else done. When did you start getting down to it and talking about priorities and talking to other legislators?
In Harrisburg, you're saying?
Yes.
Day one.
Day one.
I mean, we had one of the things that I learned as a freshman legislator is showing up and looking at my schedule and seeing 3 committee meetings scheduled at the exact same time.
Okay.
So
what do you do?
You just have to start asking people, where should I go? And a lot of them just tell you kind of have to figure it out. Pick the one that at that time, like if there's a voting meeting over an informational meeting, go to the voting meeting. Right. If there's a couple informational meetings, hearings, try to figure out which one you think would be best serving your constituents to be at that time. Mm-hmm. The reality is people get put in charge of committees, particular representatives, and they schedule, and there's no way to coordinate that with others because there's so many other things going on. So I've been able to make a lot of them, which is wonderful, but I made my voting meetings, which I think is very important. I'm
not going to ask you which one if the answer is yes, but have you gone to a committee meeting and walked out thinking, why does that committee exist?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
You foresee that?
I think it's a little early for that yet. From what I think every committee has its purpose. You're going to have bills that come through that are very important. Ultimately, I think from what I have learned and what I've been told by others who are there, you'll sometimes walk out of a committee meeting going, oh, this is going to be an interesting year, right? Like
from the drama?
Yeah,
or from the
drama.
You can see it coming?
Yeah, the drama or certain personalities or particular, totally opposite side of the aisle type discussions that turn into a little bit more theater. So, yes.
Yelling back and forth. And how optimistic am I to think this could be a bipartisan working well session in Harrisburg? I want to think that.
Yeah. As a new guy, I think I'm less jaded than some of the people who've been there a little longer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm optimistic in that sense. Well, here's the thing. Right now, it's at the State House. We have 101 to 101 because sadly, part of what happened in those first couple of weeks is Representative Gergley from near McKeesport area. He passed away suddenly, and a young guy with a young family, and that was actually very somber for us. It was a real a gut check, I think, for everyone there, just reminding us that we're all human. And there was, in that sense, it's unfortunate that death has to bring you together. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of camaraderie in that time, and what happened there. And as a new guy, not knowing Mr. Gergley, it was just, you're there and you're new and everyone's celebrating that, but you also have this, really sad thing that happened.
You don't know what to say, and there's no point of perspective from it. Did the left and right, for at least that moment, put down their rhetoric and come together?
Yeah, for sure.
Can they stay together?
I think in Harrisburg thus far, one of the things I've learned, which is, and I don't know if it's, D.C., that's a different animal. What we see on TV, I think, is not always reality. There's a lot of time on the floor in between votes or while we're gathering where if you look at the floor, there are a bunch of Republicans on the Democrat side and a bunch of Democrats on the Republican side chatting with one another. You
see little groups chatting. Yeah, you do.
And I've gotten to know quite a few already, especially the freshmen. We all came in together. We've had some time together in different orientations with the other side. And one of the guys out in Philadelphia, his district was the one where the plane crash happened.
Okay.
So that was his neighborhood. So having that conversation in perspective, those things, I mean, they're not terrible people. They're very. I'm a Republican, and they're Democrats, and everyone thinks that we should hate each other. But compared to what's on the TV, but these people are genuinely looking out for their community out there. And we have disagreements. We've already had those discussions, but we don't get into that nastiness.
I still can't root for the Eagles.
I know. The Eagle stuff the past 2 weeks in Harrisburg was a bit insufferable.
I saw some of it.
Yeah.
Josh KAIL's on his way. Roman KOZAK is here, rapping with the reps on Beaver County Radio.
Beaver Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office or well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Midland residents, are you looking to travel to Calcutta using public transportation? BCTA Connect is live now. This service is free until March 1st, 2025. Rides can be booked using the convenient BCTA Connect app or by calling our customer service team at 724-375-2895. See how same-day, on-demand trips can help you by riding with BCTA Connect today. Visit our website at www.bcta.com/connect for more information. Tune in to Beaver County Radio on Friday, February 14th from 10 until noon for a special Valentine's Day edition of The Time Machine with Eddie Crow, Frank Sparks, and Scott Tatey. The show is being presented by Roseland Candy Castle in New Brighton and will celebrate the greatest love songs of all time from TV and the big screen. One lucky listener will win the grand prize of a heart-shaped box of Roseland chocolates, 2 tickets to the Beaver County Maple Syrup Festival, a half pint of Pennsylvania Pure Syrup, and $100 in Pennsylvania scratch-off lottery tickets. Everyone who enters on our Facebook page or calls in during the show will be registered for the grand prize. Other prizes include gift cards to Zuki Sports Bar and Hallowed Grounds Roastery, as well as numerous chances to win $25 worth of Pennsylvania Lottery Valentine's scratch-off tickets. Special Valentine's edition of The Time is presented by Roseland Candy Castle and brought to you by the Beaver County Maple Syrup Festival, Hallowed Grounds Coffee Roastery, Zuki Sports Tavern, Monroe Auto Body, the Latham team at eXp Realty, and Beaver County Radio.
It's hard to even put a title on what Tom Young at First Consultants in Beaver does. Calling him a financial planner or an insurance salesman or even a life coach still doesn't accurately describe the experience. That's because he brings dreams back to life or puts life back into retirement.
My job is to create in you the vision of the you that I think you can be, the place that I think you can get to. And you know what? I get frustrated because I see more greatness in people than they see in themselves. I see greater financial futures than they see in themselves. Most people don't believe they can get there.
Find out more by visiting firstconsultantsinc.com or engage in Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
J. Young Refuse and Industry is proud to be an integral part of Beaver County for the past 35 years. Featuring a wide range of recycling services for contracted areas, they are sure to help you get the job done. The J. Young Refuse team of professional drivers consistently exceed safety and service throughout the day, while their customer service representatives take professionalism to the next level. J. Young Refuse and Industry offers both commercial and residential pickup as well. Call them today at 724-495-6199 with any questions. That's 724-495-6199.
When the weather turns bad, you can now do 2 things. First, tune to Beaver County Radio for the latest cancellation announcements, and second, go to beavercountyradio.com and access our all-new closings and delays widget that is active anytime that there are weather-related events. If snow's got you covered, so do we at Beaver County Radio. Beaver County Radio social media and beavercountyradio.com. Snowwatch is presented by Monroe Auto Body, the Lisa Latham team at eXp Realty, the cornerstone of Beaver County, and Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Thursday, February 13th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. The annual Beaver County Snow Shovel Riding Contest was discussed at yesterday's Commissioner's Work Session.
We have to, one of my least favorite traditions is there was no snow on the ground for the snow shovel contest to be scheduled, so we will be canceling that. We do have an idea for next year. We're going to register everyone in December and then not set a date to it. It's going to be a Saturday in January. email it out on a Wednesday when we know weather's coming. So moving forward, we're still going to be one of.
You had several registrations, right?
Yeah, I think we had 55 registered, pre-registered.
half of them are my son's
sending
friends,
that
so.
out.
So you can pre-register December, and then it'll be like, if there's
Bunch of
snow.
40-year-olds up.
Yeah,
I
we'll
like
just
it.
notify everyone. There's going to be a Saturday in January. We'll give an email Wednesday of that week saying it's on or off. Because I talked with the DJ we'll have, and it's just coffee and donuts. It's all pretty much the prep work. And
The only conflict is when the Special Olympics bowling launch is that Saturday.
That was Tony Caltori, head of Recreation and Tourism, with the bad news. Congressman Chris DeLuzio made an announcement Wednesday that federal funding of $150,000 will support regionalization efforts for the Beaver Valley Regional Police Department. The Beaver Valley Regional Police Department will use the money for supplies, new uniforms, personnel, and costs involving the beginning of the new consolidated department. The Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program was the source of the funding. The Community College of Beaver County announced their Spanish for First Responders training program was launched for the first time ever. The Beaver County Sheriff's Office and the Beaver County Emergency Services also helped to develop the program of 3 6-week sessions. Beaver County Emergency Services will host classes twice each week. The classes for police officers are starting now from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays through February 19th. Aqua Pennsylvania Wastewater is planning to buy the wastewater collection and treatment system of the city of Beaver Falls, and state officials are seeking public input about it. On Wednesday, February 26th, 2 meetings will be held by the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the city of Beaver Falls meeting room. The public can also join the meeting by phone by dialing 717-783-5453, as well as giving their first and last name, the phone number used to get into the meeting, email address if they have it, and phone number to contact if possible for the requirement. The Tabernacle Baptist Church in Beaver Falls will host featured speaker Stratton Nash at 4 p.m. on Sunday for the 40th year of their yearly Black History Symposium. According to the Beaver County Historical Society, several historical facts will be discussed by Nash. The acknowledgement of the late pastor of the church and the late founder of the event will also be accomplished by Nash. You can call 724-843-6319 or 724-847-0877 for more information. The Cranberry Township Volunteer Fire Company is looking for more people to join their team. 1,183 calls were responded to by the company in 2024 around or from the community, which was more than any other year. The company also has an on-site training center. Volunteers also get paid through a stipend program for each shift. The link to sign up to be a volunteer firefighter can be viewed on our website at beavercountyradio.com. Masks are being recommended instead of required at UPMC outpatient facilities and hospitals. UPMC stated on Monday that Wednesday would be the first day that masks would be required for all staff, visitors, and patients. This was due to respiratory illnesses increasing. The reason for this change is undetermined at this time.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy and breezy today with a slight chance of some snow showers in the afternoon. We'll see a high near 32. A chance of snow tonight will drop down to a low around 18. Mostly sunny tomorrow, look for a high near 30 and a low around 25. And rain possibly mixed with snow to start the day on Saturday, then becoming all rain in the afternoon. We'll reach a high near 40 and a low around 34. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Are you ready? It's time to find out what is on the mind of Eddie Crow. It's something to crow about on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. Now, here's the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
"25 minutes till 10 o'clock. Temperature's dropping. The wind is picking up and wrapping with the reps. We're getting through it. Roman KOZAK from the 14th District was here. First half hour. It's not like he's disappeared. He's still here. You can see him on the live Facebook feed. And Josh KAIL, 15th District, has joined us now. Thanks for coming by.
It is good to be here, Eddie.
How
Good
you
to be
doing?
here with Representative KOZAK here in studio. Is this the first rapping with the rep since you've gotten sworn in?
It's not the first since he's been elected, but
no, I think
we had one last. Yeah, we're in February.
Month.
That's right. We're in
February.
We got sworn. Okay, so the second monthly rapping with the rep with Mr. KOZAK, and
he's still new though.
Yeah, he's
still the
learning.
kid.
He's learning pretty quickly. He'll be a quick study. Not too worried about him.
Is it like going to football camp? Once the scared, wide-eyed look goes away, it's like, okay, he's going to be okay?
I think I wouldn't call it so much a scared, wide-eyed look. But what I will tell you is, as a freshman member, you are bombarded with meeting requests. And it's because everyone wants to get to know who the new people are. And so you're constantly having requests to meet this person and that person from this association, from that association.
Meet them for just in what context?
Just like
are you getting coffee?
Yeah, get a coffee,
sandwich?
or just in your office or something like that. And it just turns your head starts spinning by the end of days because you've ended up meeting so many different people, but then you get the hang of things as far as which person represents which association
Start
and
to
stuff
piece
like that.
Names with faces.
He's built for this stuff.
I want to ask you about the budget, but I've got somebody on the line. If you've got a question for Mr. KAIL or Mr. KOZAK, 724-843-1888. Hi, what's your name?
Good morning, Georgie Porgy, Eddie.
Georgie Porgy. Hey, come get the budget that we printed for you. It's still in the mailbox out front.
I can hear.
The county budget.
Kind of late, isn't it now?
It's never too late to learn, Georgie Porgy. It's never too late to learn, my friend.
I never knew you had it.
I told you we'd get it. I told you we'll get, and you know what? You know who you should be thankful. Jack Manning printed it out. The Beaver County, the entire budget. Jack printed it out and brought it over here. So you need to come get it. Maybe get Manning to autograph it. What's your question?
Here you go. Okay, this is addressed to Josh KAIL and Mr. KOZAK. Okay, the Senate Bill 35 was passed. Now it's up to the House now. I don't know if you gentlemen got this bill on your desk or not.
What is Senate Bill 35, Georgie?
Senate Bill 35 is the auto emissions program, and according to the House or to the Senate, they passed it, and they want to abolish this.
They want to abolish
the House.
What are they abolishing?
The auto emissions program.
Automotive emissions program. You're talking about getting rid of the second sticker you got to get?
Yes, it's a joke.
This is something that we...
Thank you, Georgie Porgy.
Something in the House that we have been working on over the course of the last number of years. Senator Vogel has been instrumental in moving it through the Senate. He's been hot on this for longer than I have been in office, and it's going to have a hard time getting the light of day with Democrats in control in Harrisburg. It's just not something that fits within their green ideology. So I think we're going to have a hard time getting rid of those standards here in Pennsylvania at this point in time.
One of the things that I learned about the emissions part of it, when I was knocking doors this past summer, I was up in Franklin Township. And one side of the road I was knocking doors was Beaver County, the other side's Lawrence County, but not in my district. Mm-hmm. But I talked to multiple people on a road up there that were like, listen, look at my car, a smaller Honda type car. He says, look at my buddy's car across the street. It was a big truck. And he said, I have to get emissions. He doesn't. We're on the same street, right? So I asked someone about that, and there's these zones that are built by the Clean Air Act, the Federal Clean Air Act, that if you're in a certain proximity to a certain population center, you kind of fall into this zone. And it's just very, government sounding, unclear. Why is the line, the imaginary county line, why does one side of the street have to get it and not the other? It's just weird. It's dumb. Really what it is.
How do you argue against it? Because and I'll argue against it all day. I'm going through it right now with plating and inspecting a different vehicle. It's a circus to deal with. It's a moneymaker. And somebody's going to say, this is how much money we get. It's $30, $40 to get the emission sticker for every car every year. Where's the short? You're cutting out millions of dollars. I'm playing devil's advocate. but
no, it's yeah, of course, right? Everything's a revenue maker for government. That's the thing that drives me insane is when we're talking about, taxing skill games and, legalizing weed and all these things like that. It's like the conversation of substance isn't like, what's the benefits for society? How does this affect my district? It's revenue for the government. It's like, well, that's not the reason we're here, guys. We're not here just to raise fees on people and taxes on people. And this is another example with the emissions testing. So many modern cars. I mean, maybe if your car is pre-1980 or something, right? But I mean, these modern cars are meeting the standards.
If you're rocking a K car, you got to get a sticker. Right? Just now that you've seen and been involved in the inner workings for a little bit, Mr. KOZAK, how much more difficult does Harrisburg make it than other state capitals in other states?
I don't know if I can answer that quite yet.
Okay.
Josh, do you have any thoughts on that?
How much bigger a mess do we make stuff in PA than other states?
So it's an interesting question. The main distinction between us and other states is the amount of time that we are in Harrisburg, which, the more time you give elected officials to draft laws and legislation, the more time you give people the chance to make mistakes and make life harder, in my estimation. I know it's a kind of a cynical view, and it goes to my perspective that less government's better government. But in other states, like West Virginia, for instance, is in session now. Their session started a couple weeks ago. It'll go until the end of March, and then that's it for the entire year. Texas has one stretch of, I believe, 3 months, once every 2 years. New Hampshire goes up just for a short period of time.
It might be New Hampshire where they're part-time employees.
Yeah, well, in New Hampshire, actually, they're not even paid. They get a stipend, and there's 430 of them. Literally, the representatives represent about 3,000 people
each town.
So it'd be like just the actual borough of Midland having a rep, the borough of Beaver having a rep. What's unique about Pennsylvania, outside of here and Albany and Sacramento, outside of here, New York and California, because those places do meet pretty regularly as well, is how often we're meeting and how kind of established the representatives and senators are. And what I mean by that is also West Virginia, they have no staff. They have no district office. They have no people that are doing constituent services.
How would you stay in contact and understand what your constituency wanted if you don't have somebody listening to them?
You just go to certain events, and but the job isn't nearly. It's not a. It's more of what you would consider a job at like a township municipal job now, right? It's something you do. It's your service. You get certain things you want to get accomplished, and you go back home. Ohio is the same way. They don't have district offices in Ohio. We get some people from East Liverpool coming to us, and they're like, they can't believe that the state house members have district offices where people can go and work through state issues.
At least find an ear.
Yeah. And what's amazing about it is all the different complaints that we hear from constituents, and we get certain things accomplished because we have access to the executive branch. Yet Ohio's government's run so much better. Their executive branches run so much better.
Why?
They have had governors over the course of the last 2 or 3 terms, that have been very serious about making government efficient. And it's not people that you may have heard of. It's Mike DeWine. It's John Kasich. It's people that are just very, just keep their head down and focus on the business of governing in Ohio, and they've done a good job for their state. They've brought in industry. They've brought in all kinds of different opportunities for their constituents by, ignoring the noise, staying focused on the blocking and tackling of governing, and accomplishing it. Here, Pennsylvania, we got a show horse for a governor. I'm just the jury's out on him. Maybe I think it's come back in, and I think the guy has no substance. He knows what to talk about. He knows how to say it smoothly, but he can't deliver. He doesn't know what to do to deliver on things, and that's just what we've seen over the course of the last 2 years. I think there's enough body of work or lack thereof that shows he's not capable of it. But Pennsylvania, far more active state legislator than most states.
All right, I want to go back, and phones are ringing. Josh KAIL, 15th District State Rep. Roman KOZAK, 14th District State Rep. They're my guests this morning. It's Rapping with the Reps. Hi, what is your name?
Dawn.
Hi, Dawn. What's your question for Mr. KOZAK and Mr. KAIL?
I had a question for Mr. KAIL.
Okay.
How many years have you been a rep now? 8?
This 6 years.
6.
I wish you were writing my check, Don.
Where are you heading from there?
From the state representatives?
From the current position you hold, what are your aspirations?
I'm focused on this position, and honestly, aspirations are making sure I'm home with my 8 children and accomplishing that. But I get the question, and I just DC is just such a mess. The House of Representatives there, and I just don't think I could. I've been asked to run for a position like that, and I just don't think. I don't think I could put my family through that. It's not something I have an aspiration to do. I really enjoy working at the state level. I really believe that there's a lot of things that need to get done and accomplished here, and I'd like to be able to represent my community in Harrisburg and to that extent.
Don, excellent question. Josh, how often do you get asked that question?
As soon as you get in office, Roman's going to start getting the question now too. It's like as soon as you get there, it's like what's the next thing and what's the next step? And it's flattering, and I appreciate people asking. And but doing a job well means focusing on the job that you have in front of you. And if you ever want to be considered for something else, my opinion is you better do a good job of what you're doing now, because then why would you be fit for a promotion or a move somewhere else if you can't do what you're doing at the current time well? So I try and stay focused on what's in front of me.
And the reason Josh gets asked that, and I appreciate that callers asking too, is it's not just because he's in a position. Whether or not something like myself gets asked that at some point is one thing, but Josh gets asked that regularly by other people because they see the success that he has, the relationships he's developed, the ability for him to work across party lines and talk with different people and have conversations, and the stuff that he was doing over the past couple of years across the state of Pennsylvania. Most people won't see that because we just don't get that sort of coverage. But Josh was running all across the state as a policy chairman for the House to make sure that our message got out there, and I think he holds the record for most policy hearings. So that's the reason when people see leadership and drive like that, that's the reason they start asking.
Thank everybody that's calling. I got somebody else here for you guys. It's Rapping with the Reps, Josh KAIL and Roman KOZAK in the studio with me.
We never used to get calls like this until Roman came along.
Oh, boy.
You're exciting people. That's great.
Hi, thank you for calling because Roman's here. What's your question? Hello?
Yeah, my question is, hello?
Hi, what's your question?
My question is that ignition that goes on cars that you have to have.
Wait a minute. Wait. The ignition? Emission sticker.
Yeah.
You're talking about emissions. Okay. What's your question?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have it like to drive in Beaver Falls. Eastville's got to have it. College Hill's got to have it. But you go to Coppell, they don't have to have it. But yet they can drive here in Beaver Falls anytime they want.
I'm I'm going to go ahead and say I agree with you 100%. I personally think it's a load of hooey, and I think it's a way to make money, 30-something bucks on a sticker to put in the window.
Yeah.
Now, tell me why it's not all of those evil things. As a representative, you're both looking at each other like, what?
And Roman's finding this. That's the most infuriating part of Harrisburg is we find ways. The Harrisburg has found ways to nickel and dime us.
Yeah.
Remarkably for the last probably 100 years.
Yeah.
Taxylvania for a reason. Someone I talked to recently moved here. It was this summer, and they told me they could not believe that every time they turned a corner, they felt they owed a fee for something.
Yep.
Fee, a registration, this or that, licensing fee. Someone wants to cut someone else's hair, they got to get a license for it. But yet someone else can. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Is it fixable?
With the right governor and legislature, it's fixable. Yes.
Is there any interest?
Some of it.
Is there any interest to fix it? Because again, we're talking about revenue to the Commonwealth. Is there? Because I hear people talking all the time about things like PennDOT and about things like the Turnpike Commission, and there's a lot of problems, and we need to fix it. But there's a lot of big undoable things that are going to take time, it looks like.
It's not undoable.
Okay.
What it really, Roman, said it, and it's true. And what we have not had in some time is a governor that is serious about disrupting Harrisburg.
Does it need to be disrupted to fix it?
I think the status quo, and what I mean by disrupting, I mean the status quo that just every year in and year out, the same things going on. That's what I meant by disrupting it, is somebody's got to go in there and change the status quo and say this is not working for the constituents of the Commonwealth. And the person that has the singular person that has the ability to do that is the governor. The governor is in charge of the different agencies that are causing a lot of these problems. He has the most influence on the Turnpike Commission. He appoints the chair of the Turnpike Commission. And you have all of these other areas that he could single-handedly leverage in order to make the legislature do what he wants to do as well. We need a governor that understands reform and the reform that's needed in Pennsylvania. This governor, what's fascinating about Shapiro, it's something that I've just come to really just at first almost appreciate and say, oh, okay, well, but now it's become more of a discouragement. What's fascinating about him is he understands what the problems are because he talks about the problems, and he's the first Democrat governor to talk about problems.
To acknowledge.
Okay. Whether it's permitting, whether it's taxes, whether it's energy policy, he acknowledges the problem. What's amazing about it is he just talks. He could do things tomorrow that would actually implement what he is promising. You have a guy in the campaign trail that's promising, getting out there saying all the right things to all the right people. He goes back to Harrisburg and takes a nap and eats a donut. He doesn't actually do any work that would implement his own campaign promises. It's remarkable. It's really unfortunate, and it's not doing a good service for the Commonwealth.
Got about a minute left, wrapping with the reps today. Roman KOZAK and Josh KAIL. What should I have asked either of you that I didn't? What did I miss?
Josh wanted to talk about the Steelers.
No, we're not talking about the Steelers.
I'm just not. I think the Trevor Lawrence thing.
What?
Yeah, there's rumors today that the Steelers are looking to pursue Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jaguars. I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a pretty decent human being. I don't know that he's a good fit for Pittsburgh.
You know what would be huge? He comes in, he lights it up. How many Trevor Lawrence wigs are you going to see at the stadium?
I would love for him to come in and light it up. I hope somebody comes in and lights it up. I just hope we don't chase. You know what? I would be more disappointed if we started chasing Aaron Rodgers. We need a long-term solution.
Oh, come on.
They're saying the odds on favor to end up somewhere next year is Pittsburgh for Aaron Rodgers, and we need a long-term solution. We got to stop putting Band-Aids out We got to just bite the bullet and get a franchise quarterback and start winning Super Bowls again.
And you think Aaron Rodgers is a franchise quarterback?
Not at this
there
point
you
in life.
Go.
No, we need
go.
somebody else. And mediocrity needs to end in Pittsburgh. We're the city of champions, and we need to get back there.
We're the city of non-losing records, pal.
The standard is the standard, Josh.
Yeah, well, that standard needs to get flushed. We need a new standard.
It's wrapping with the reps, gentlemen. Thank you very much. We're going to argue about the Steelers off the air now. I'm not joking. I bring Aaron Rodgers in 100%. You know why? Fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
Why is the quarterback's pupils the size of dinner plates?
Your hometown radio station. You're listening live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, proud to call Beaver County home.
Looking for home services? Call Patriot Home Care in Beaver Falls. Their staff provides company, conversation, and companionship to all patients, ensuring medications are taken on time, participating in fun community activities, personal care, meal prep, and light household work are all services provided by Patriot Home Care, all thanks to the hardworking and selfless team members. Call Patriot Home Care at 724-506-8911 or stop in Patriot Home Care, 1225 7th Avenue, Beaver Falls. Pittsburgh Penguins hockey is back on Beaver County Radio.
Goal, right to the front right there. Carter, he scores! Big goal for Big Jeff!
Tune in all season long as the revamped Pittsburgh Penguins are on a quest to win their 6th Stanley Cup. Penguins hockey